Coming up this week, accepting the unbelievable. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sunday Spoilers. We yet again have an opportunity to prepare ourselves for worship. We know how wonderful a time worship is when we gather together with each other, to gather together in God's presence. We are continuing our theme of angels, the angels of Christmas, looking at each of the angel encounters in the birth story of Jesus. We've looked at Zechariah, we've looked at Mary, and this week we're coming to Joseph. Now, Joseph comes to us from the Gospel of Matthew, and Matthew presents a slightly different, not a different version, but a different perspective of the birth story. He focuses mostly on Joseph and his encounter with the angel and his actions that he takes beyond that. So let's listen to this now. This is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 1, verses 18 through 25. This is how the birth of Jesus, the Messiah, came about. His mother Mary was pledged to be married to Joseph, but before they came together, she was found to be pregnant through the Holy Spirit. Because Joseph, her husband, was faithful to the law and yet did not want to expose her to public disgrace, he had in mind to divorce her quietly. But after he had considered this, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, "Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary home as your wife, because what is conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. She will give birth to a son, and you are to give him the name Jesus, because he will save his people from their sins." All this took place to fulfill what the Lord had said through the prophet. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel, which means God with us. When Jesus woke up, he did what the angel of the Lord had commanded and took Mary home as his wife. But he did not consummate their marriage until she gave birth to a son, and he gave him the name Jesus. So Joseph was in a tough spot. We hear that he was faithful to the law, that he was devout, and we get a great connection to him and kind of the old understanding of how things work. We get a genealogy in Matthew where he's tied to David, and there's this connection to how things worked in the past and how God has laid things out. And now all of a sudden, there's a new thing happening, and he's kind of stuck in the middle of that. As a follower of the law, this is kind of going against what he's learned from the law. But it's a thing that God is doing. The angel says not to be afraid. And I think a lot of times we have that happen to us. We get stuck sometimes in how we see things. We get stuck in how we go about doing things. We have our routines. We have our patterns. And then there's a new thing that God might be doing in our life, but we might not see it. We might not recognize it. We might not think it's the proper way to go. And the angel kind of revealed to Joseph in this dream, this is God. This is God doing this. And so Joseph had to take some tough steps to be able to follow through with this. And I think it's something for us to learn from. That God has a call in our lives, that God has a call for us to use the gifts that we have been given. Sometimes we're not so sure about that. And it's about being connected to God, being connected to what he's showing us, to be open to what new things might be happening, not just in our lives, but in church, in the community, wherever we are. There's always a new thing that God has for us. How open are we to that? How open are we to this new direction that God might have for us? How open are we to living out our call as the children of God? Can't wait till Sunday till we can get together and talk more about this and learn about how God is leading us and guiding us and nurturing us in our lives together. See you then. Take care, everyone.